Get ready to delve into learning the influences of culture on the negotiation process. Now it's time for the practical part of learning about the cultural impact on negotiations. If you're already experienced in procurement, you can use this lesson as a refresher or move to the next lesson. If you want to learn more about how to negotiate, make sure you check our negotiations course for procurement professionals, where we will dive deep into all the variables that we will discuss in this lesson. For now, let's start. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to learn the basic negotiation steps and processes, understand and explain how culture influences each step in a negotiation process. First things first, why is understanding culture important in negotiations? That's because understanding the culture of the other party you're going to negotiate with can lead to a good and amicable relationship and help you seal deals or resolve conflicts better. So how do negotiations work? Like all other things, negotiation has its process. Specific actions are required for an effective negotiation. From preparation to information, exchanges to bargaining, to finally sealing the deal. Cultural influences every step you take in the negotiation process. Let's have a look at that first. First, preparation. This is the most important step in the whole negotiation process. In meetings, presentations, and important negotiations, you really have to prepare for it. Why? Because of a lot of things. To name a few, you can clarify your objectives, build credibility and confidence, maximize value, understand the other party better, and so on. Now, these are a few things you have to ask yourself for your negotiation preparation. What are your goals, objectives? What are your ideal and realistic expectations? What are the costs of the variables you want to offer or exchange with your counterpart? What are the compromises you'll be willing to make? What are your alternative options? Why are they willing to negotiate with us? What do we have that they want? What sets us apart from our competitors? Aside from these questions, do your task by finding out more about the other party. Now, this course will only tackle the basics. If you want to learn more about negotiation preparation in detail, then you should check out our negotiation course. So how does culture influence this stage in the negotiation process? Well, when you factor culture into the equation of preparations, things can change a lot. For example, instead of the initial 4 questions we need to ask ourselves, we also have to ask ourselves, what are their communication styles? For example, how do they communicate with you? Is it direct or indirect? Do they ask you straightforwardly or do they hesitate to speak up and rely on body language instead? What is their time perception? Are they too strict on time? For example, how do they view time? Does being on time matter a lot? Are they strict on time? Or is it the opposite? What are their objectives for this relationship? Short term or long term? What are the ethical considerations? Later in this course, we'll help you answer these questions. Also, instead of finding out more about the other party by simply looking at their past projects and data, you have to account for their customs and values during the negotiation process as part of your preparation. Second, information exchanges. This stage comes after you've finished preparing. Let's say you have prepared everything and used the template to answer the important questions. It's time to get to business. At this point, you and the other party will present their initial positions, the terms and conditions, well as the things you're willing to give in return. Just a tip, communicate your intentions and wishes well. That is very important. So how does culture play a role in this step? Again, when you negotiate with the other party of different culture, you should at least have an idea of their communication style. Is it direct or indirect? Do we have to practice the nonverbal cues? When's the right time to bring up your objectives? Are we being pushy? Even in information exchanges, there tends to be a norm, and this can differ according to culture. Some cultures can be more open and willing to share their information, but other cultures can be hesitant and a bit more guarded. So, even in the information exchange stage, culture can influence the process in terms of how you should act and how you should communicate. Here are some phrases or questions you could use during this stage that could be helpful and respectful to the other party with different cultural backgrounds. I appreciate your input on this matter. Thank you for helping to clarify this issue. Your expertise on this matter is evident, but I'm grateful for the information you've shared. Third, bargaining. Once you've put out your positions, intentions, and terms to each other, it's now time to bargain. In the general stage of bargaining, you have to hear the other party out as well. Do not just push your terms and conditions. Also, you should be willing to make compromises. In bargaining, the goal is not to have you win alone or have the other party win alone. There should be no win and no lose, but a win-win situation instead. That's right. The goal is to have mutually beneficial outcomes. To get to that point, you should be willing to make compromises. Now, this takes time, and you really have to be patient to reach an agreement. Again, how do we relate to this culture? The quick answer is that you have to take into account their customs and norms, as we did with the preparations and information exchange. The long answer is that you have to learn things such as what is their negotiation style, their bargaining style, how do we bargain without offending the other party, what is their approach to concessions, what about their approach to deadlines, what are their decision-making processes, what are their attitudes toward risk, do they avoid it? These are the questions you need to ask yourself and of course prepare for. Knowing how to bargain without offending the other party, their approaches to concessions and deadlines, and their decision-making processes helps you understand them better and strategize for counterfeits. Here are some useful phrases you could use when bargaining. I understand your point of view, and I'm willing to explore the other options. I value what you bring into the table, and I'm open to finding a common ground. I respect your position, and I'm hopeful we can find a way forward. Lastly, sealing the deal. This is the last step in the negotiation process. When you've reached this stage, you must have agreed on the terms and conditions during the bargaining process, wherein both parties are satisfied. If that's the case, congratulations! But before officially closing the deal, there should be a form of verbal agreement or written contract. Now, we should emphasize verbal agreement or written contract. That is because some cultures also have different ways in which they close their deals. Some cultures, such as the Spanish culture, don't like written contracts and prefer a verbal agreement. However, in Western cultures, written contracts are a must. Be sure to communicate this and establish this verbal agreement or written contract. Once you've done that, congratulations! You've officially finished the negotiation process. You've successfully taken into account culture in the equation of the negotiation process. This may be difficult to remember. There are so many questions. To help you with the negotiation process, we've made a template. So, how do we use the template? In the template, you see 4 boxes with the titles of preparation, information exchange, bargaining, and sealing the deal. These are the 4 steps we've discussed. What you need to do is answer the respective questions in each box. For example, in the preparation stage, you ask, what are their communication styles? You may write here if the other party you're negotiating with has a direct or indirect communication style. Do that for the other boxes and questions. And there you have it. In this lesson, you've learned a few things such as the different stages of the negotiation process and how culture influences each step. Let's learn again together next time.